What's up, guys? This is Jason, your boss man from Mission Airsoft, and with me I have
Josh, call me Doc.
I'm Brian, and call me Skyhawker.
and we're here to talk a little bit about our upcoming event called Titans In campaign, specifically Operation Problem Child. And we're going to talk a little bit about the operation and what the difference is between the campaign itself and the operation. So, started off, tell us a little bit about Titans In and how everything's kind of flowing right now. What are we looking at?
All right, so essentially the background for Titans End is the world it's set in the future. The world has got this large centralized government system, which just about every country, nation, city-state in the world has joined. And I'll let the specifics of that in particular be explained by by Skyhawker here. But there's also this group called the Forgotten, which is composed of city-states that didn't join this coalition either because of economic status, political factors. For whatever reason, they didn't join, and now this massive coalition has forgotten about them, and they're not too happy about that. I wouldn't be either. There's also potentially a third group, we're still working that out, that'll be mercenaries, which are a group of independent city-states, but I'll explain more on that later.
All right, so we were talking about the different factions and stuff like that, one of which being the Coalition, the other one being the Mercenaries, and then, of course, the Forgotten, which in normal Milsim would be your rebel types, correct?
Yeah.
All right, so tell us a little bit about the Coalition. I mean, what is going on with that?
Sure, no problem. Coalition basically is like Doc over here was saying. It's all of the nations that have kind of got together and basically done a deal like NATO. It's just much larger and basically worldwide. There's only a couple of countries that didn't join, and it's all underneath one centralized government. So through all these years, they've been at peace, and they haven't had a need to fight. So there's really no kind of army and centralized army military system at all. So they're just kind of there and living in this time of peace and kind of a perfect paradise per se.
Do you have a military to speak of, or armies or anything?
Yeah, there's really no military actually to speak of. Basically just a few militia forces. Basically for each city has a small militia that would basically be its protectors in case something would happen.
Would it be more like a peace, like a police force?
But yeah,
or something
basically
like
more
that,
of a police
rather than-
force and not a true military. But
Okay. And I guess they would have, obviously, some sort of armory or something like that as far as weaponry. They just haven't had no need.
Yeah, exactly.
Really.
There's no need for it to be used.
Because this is taking place in, 2045. 2045, so... And these are things that can really happen. I mean, if you really consider with
definitely.
NATO and all that other stuff. And then we have our rebel nations out there, the ones that wouldn't really want to join forces with us. And you can kind of see that with some of the terrorist groups like ISIS and that kind of stuff. And that's kind of the ideology around the Forgotten's people group, correct? Yeah. I mean, they're really dealing with the fame and the lack of support from the capitals, I guess you would say, and the presidencies and
economic supplies, water supplies, medicine, technology.
All the above, they really don't have, and they've also been at war with each other ever since the beginning of time. I mean, even today, and it's 2015 now.
Yeah.
So this is many years later, and they're still at war with one another. They're trying to
wars, clan wars, personal vendettas, all that kind of stuff.
So now, basically, the Forgotten, or the rebels, are coming to take over some of this coalition, some of the cities and stuff to get their food, their technologies or something like that.
Whatever.
Okay. Now the coalition doesn't really have any, as far as weapon technology, any need to really advance on that.
Yeah,
correct?
there has been a need for the past 30 some odd years, so they haven't really done anything. Like I said, other than a very small police force, they really don't have anything else.
Right. And in our introduction, that's on our website, and you can check it out. It's at www.missionairsoft.org. You can learn a little bit about the storyline and everything with Titans In campaign. And just by the narrative that one of the commanders within the coalition is explaining, and how this battle is really going to take place within the lawns and the backyards of these citizens of the coalition, how the grass is going to bleed the blood of war. It's something that they're not used to, and they've been hiding behind these, whether they're physical walls or false walls.
Yeah.
a piece for so long, this is going to be a huge thing for these people to get
Exactly.
used to, correct?
Culture shock,
Exactly.
essentially.
Right, and then we have our third group, correct? We have the
We have the mercenaries.
Okay, tell us a little bit about those.
Okay, so the mercenaries are essentially a small group of independent city-states that they have the option to join the coalition, but they chose not to because they wanted to stay independent for whatever reason. That doesn't mean they're being shunned or ignored like the Forgotten are. They still receive the technology, the food, water, medical supplies, all that stuff. But they maintain themselves as an independent third party, essentially,
So in a sense, they've been kind of in consistent trade with the coalition.
with everybody, Forgotten included.
Okay, so in a sense, they're like a middleman.
Yes.
So they're not enemies of really anybody.
Yep, completely neutral party.
Okay, now some of the benefits during gameplay and stuff, during the operations, what will the coalition and the Forgotten have with doing business with these?
With the mercenaries slash merchants, which is essentially what they are, they'll offer goods or services in exchange for a monetary value we haven't really yet implemented, just because we've had different currency from the coalition, different currency from the Forgotten, and we're still trying to work out how we're going to make all that work. But players will be able to buy support either through mercenary intervention. You have a couple of people bolster your squad to go assault something. You'll be able to buy information on enemy troops, locations, force size, strongholds, location of enemy officers and intelligence. Eventually, as the day goes on, there'll be random missions that will be given out by the merchants to the benefit of either a distraction or a weapons package being used by a mercenary.
And this is via their request. So basically, they would find the mercs and say, hey, we need you to do a distraction for us on such and such, and the mercs would then display a price. All right, we'll do it for this amount. They would give them the monies, the mercs meaning.
Yes.
And then the mercs would carry out the mission whatever time, and that kind of stuff would be
Yes.
Yeah.
would
Exactly.
be agreed upon, correct? Okay.
That'd be correct. And we're also trying to get drones on the field. So sometime during the day, for an amount, you would be able to get drone coverage of a certain area for 30 seconds, a minute, which would be very advantageous, especially when finding out enemy positions and things like that.
And these are all based on cost. So for instance, with the diversion, it would be either based on mags or sound device or whatever, and it depends on how much the mercs are going to cost. So the more you would
Expenditures,
pay,
Yep.
the more service you will get from
Yes.
the
Yeah,
mercs.
exactly.
And other than that, now will the mercs actually attack on their own will?
Only the way we're trying to plan it out is the mercenaries can essentially help who they choose. They can refuse service to people. They can only do business with certain people, individual-wise, not counting faction-wise. But the way we're trying to get it set up is the merchants can only or will only fire if fired upon. So if you shoot at them, they're going to return fire. But if you leave them alone, all's good and dandy.
So in a sense, they're defensive posture, but there's no chance for any like biasness or anything like that. For instance, as an Airsoft player, one of my big pet peeves is when you have these merchants or whatever, or these mercenaries, and the next thing you know, they're partnering up with their buddies over on Team A, where Team B is just getting slaughtered because they have now two teams they're going against. So that won't happen.
It shouldn't, no. Obviously, because it will be player controlled and player initiated, there's going to be some of that, but we're trying to minimize that as much as physically possible. But like I said, individual wise, there may be some merchants that will be only willing to deal with certain players from the factions, but they're not allowed to completely cut off or cut out a faction from their trade route. So
Again,
you can't play them.
is that based on monies though? It depends on how much monies they're kind of provided. So individuals within the merchants can even become enemies of the merchant if they're bought out.
Yes,
Okay.
but once that happens, the information and resources that the merchants would be providing to their own would be cut off from them as well.
Understood.
Unless
And again, we are still in the planning phase.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yes.
still have a month to go. We're creating a committee for our events and stuff like that. And the first meeting, as far as the committee is concerned, isn't until the 1st of February. Now we have a good understanding of where everything's going to play out and stuff like that, but nonetheless, the fine tuning of everything is still in works. Don't get us wrong. Now, as far as the price and everything, what's the price looking like for
If you don't
Problem Child?
yeah, if you don't pre-register by, I want to say it's the 22nd of February.
Yeah, I believe so.
It'll be $60. If you do manage to pre-register and get paid before that cutoff date, it'll be $45. I think it was.
I believe so. Yep.
$45. We do accept PayPal on our website, like you said, www.missionairsoft.org. Check that out. Get registered. That way you don't have to pay the elevated price. And depending on how many people we actually have, will allow us to plan for the bigger and bigger stuff. So the more people there are, the bigger and better we can make this op.
Most definitely, as with any other op. You know,
Yes.
I mean, that's, you know. And again, I mean, even if it's too big, can the field really handle it? I mean, you guys have both played at the Swamp and stuff like that, and we know they've been paintball oriented for many, many years, and they're, I mean, a top-notch paintball field. It's
Of
only
course.
been within the last couple months that Mission Airsoft and the Swamp have partnered up and begin to work that way. What are your thoughts as far as inviting, say, 200 or 300 people?
I think the field could very easily support 200 or 300 people, possibly even more than that.
So
You only see the concept field from the road, so actually looking at it, you actually have about twice, if not another time on top of that, field playable-wise, because there's a wood field outside of it. So we really have around 30 acres of 30 to 40, maybe even 50 acres of playable field that will have this op. So you could easily support a couple hundred players, no problem.
And we are definitely working on the acreage. I mean, the total acreage is over 40.
Yes.
And we're trying to figure out ways to allow paintball to still go on because we don't want to totally take away the paintball theme.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
That's how they make their money and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
we
We
don't
understand
wanna-
that. It's the first op of there, you know.
don't want to shoot our business partner in the foot.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. So bear with us on that one. But, I mean, we definitely have everything planned out as far as spawn points are concerned. There's going to be a safe zone so you can't get spawn trapped. The idea behind the whole medic/triage center, I think, is supreme, where you're going to have the ability to move your triage center, and medics can't necessarily heal on the field, but instead they're transporting their injured and stuff to the triage center where they'll be able to respond.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct, which is very unique.
Yes.
Yes,
I've-
I do not believe anyone else has actually done that. Any
Yeah,
kind of
I
other
know
Wilson.
any of the ops I've been to, I've been to quite a few. I've never had anything like that. There's been a few things that have had a similar idea in a broad sense of the word, but nothing as thought out and planned like this.
And we have tested this idea the other day at our night op a couple weeks ago and stuff, and we definitely had some wrenches, I guess you would say, that we have to remove from the gears, you know,
Yes.
which was a good thing. So, and as we progress and get closer and closer, hopefully we'll either be able to fine tune this whole medic theory and how it's going to play out, or completely remove it if need be.
And then replace
know.
it with something else.
Exactly, but other scenarios that we're going to be able to work is we're going to have interrogation options where
Yes.
they're actually going to have to go find high value assets, interrogate them, et cetera, et cetera. And as a milsim, we're not totally restricting the loadout of the airsofter, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
How is that working? I mean, what are we doing as far as the loadouts and everything is concerned?
Because of the scenario and the way it's all set up, story-wise, with the coalition of governments, the Forgotten, and the Merchants, I mean, no country in the world uses the exact same equipment. And especially if it's, like you said, with the coalition of governments, if it's just town militia, police, people are gonna wear what they have, which will allow you quite a number, quite a degree of personalization with your outfits and your gear.
So there's no set uniform for either side.
No, there is no set uniform.
Which allows a lot of freedom, so that way, I mean, players, it really doesn't matter what kind of gear you have, come and have fun with us.
Exactly.
Essentially, that way
you
you-
could have a single gun and just one or two magazines you can shove in pockets, and then you'll have people that have full tac vests and comms units and everything else like that on the field alongside.
Which is kind of unique for milsim ops, in which you don't need specifically milsim equipment, the full loadout, comm sets, full vests, the whole 9 yards to come play and have fun in this op, which is one thing about it that we're trying to push as well. So
Right,
it
right.
includes everybody.
Now we know it's a 2-day op and stuff like that, and we had a meeting the other day trying to figure out camping procedures and stuff like that. And what we recommend bringing, you can't bring campers and all that other stuff. There's really not any hookups. They're kind of restricted on that. Unfortunately, there is a fee to hook up over on the
Yes.
field, I'm sure, but they are available for you. However, there's plenty of room for people to pitch tents and everything like
Yep.
that. We are definitely going to have something in the evening, whether it's a bonfire or something. We'll have a food truck up there, have some outstanding pulled pork barbecue
Yes,
that we got to try
absolutely
out the other
delicious.
day. There are warm showers, and
Yeah, the field does have full utilities, so
Yep.
it does have indoor restroom, indoor plumbing.
Which is pretty unique.
Yeah, it's one of the few fields I've gone to that actually has that, which is actually very nice.
And it's definitely going to be a good experience, and it's going to be a learning experience. Now, on to the campaign. What is the difference between the campaign and the op? And basically, it's this: is the operations are the meat and potatoes, the construct, the scaffolding to the campaign itself. The campaign is a series of operations or events that are going to lead to a primary cause. In our cause, it's actually to promote reading and stuff like that amongst the children or the adolescents and stuff in today's environment. What we're planning or / hoping to do is at the end of everything, we'll have copious amounts of notes for each event. Each event is going to respond to the prior event. So, for instance, if the coalition kind of loses footing into the city or whatever it may be when the next event hits, it's going to play off of what have happened, correct?
Yes.
And at the end of everything, what we're hoping to be able to do is actually sit down and write a series of short stories or even a novel and everything with the opportunity to kind of increase the desire to read. Because, what kid, or even myself, I would love to be able to read a story that I had an influence in, especially
course.
something I'd be able to identify with.
No.
Man, I remember that. I remember
Yeah.
this happened. I was there, dude. It was me that interrogated that guy or whatever. it
I
may be.
remember doing that. I remember being a part of that. I remember when that went down.
Exactly,
Who
exactly.
wouldn't or who doesn't enjoy being able to read about themselves doing these kinds of things set into, a futuristic world or a futuristic setting.
Exactly. And some of the other positions as far as the field is concerned and support for us is they also do have high pressure compressors and everything
Yes.
for Polar Star users. We
Yeah.
do ask that you use biodegradable ammunition. That's the only thing
Yes.
that we carry at the field at this time. However, we're not completely restricted to that. The staff here at Mission Airsoft actually goes and cleans up at the field about every 2 weeks or something
Yep.
like that, so that way we can continue using what ammunition that is offered. So you can bring your own ammunition. There are some restrictions as far as FPS and everything is concerned. And if you have any questions on that, please give us a call here at the shop or check out the webpage. We'll have that. It's going to
Just
differ.
drop a comment on the video even.
Exactly. And our FPS restrictions and stuff do vary as far as event play is concerned based on weekend play. So things will change. But everybody is invited. It will be a definite great time. It's going to be March 7th and 8th, beginning March 7th at 9 a.m.
Yes.
Yep.
and ending March 8th at 7 p.m., if I recall correctly.
Yes.
So the weather should be outstanding. And we look forward to, everybody coming out and meeting with us and having a grand old time. So we'll have some other videos coming out to introduce a little bit more as we continue to design. If you have any questions, please give us a call. Guys, any closing?
Yeah, actually, we're also doing our safety campaign.
Yes, safety campaign. Stop, drop, and back off right
Stop,
now.
drop, and back off.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
Because obviously with Airsoft, because they are replica firearms, and you can dice it anyway, that's essentially what they are. They are replica firearms. The sniper rifle above me, anybody that didn't know that was an Airsoft rifle, looking at that, that's a real rifle. This right here, same deal. It's a WE M9 that was wire brushed to a silver finish. That could be a Beretta 92R to anybody quick looking at it. So we will be launching our safety campaign on the same day.
It's actually the first event. We've actually already launched it
Yes.
this month because it is an annual campaign. It's a very aggressive campaign instead of us sitting back because we've all read the news. We know what's going on. We know if kids have been hurt for flashing their airsoft guns and stuff like that. And we know about the orange tip and the issues with that. And federal law does state that they have to be there. There is some issues as far as once the weapon system is purchased. However, we don't want to get into that at this moment. But nonetheless, this month being the Stop, Drop, and Back Off campaign, or idea is basically for your backyard player. And it's explained that if you're approached by anybody, it doesn't matter if it's law enforcement, adult, or another child, or whatever it may be, to stop what you're doing, place your gun on the floor, the field, the grass, whatever it may be, and just back away until it's out of reach, until until it's deemed safe, or you're told or given permission to approach it. And
Because no matter how much you spend on these rifles, you know, Polar Stars can go anywhere. I've seen, you know, north of $1.5 grand, $2 grand people put into their guns and stuff. No gun is worth injury or life.
exactly.
You can always buy a new gun, but
You only got one life.
yeah.
All right. Any other closing remarks?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, guys. We'll see you soon. Again, this is Jason, the boss man, at Mission Airsoft, and Josh, aka Doc, and Brian, aka Skyhawker. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Signing off, and we'll see you guys.